I'm Margaret Ann Windsor, and I'm watching President Obama being interviewed by, I believe his name's Major Garrett. He's on CBS Morning Show. The thing is, he's talking about Russia and the Ukraine, and I'm Margaret Ann Windsor. I was kidnapped from Buckingham Palace in 41. I was born in 39, and usually I have the picture of the real King Edward VIII, my father, and George VI, the illegal monarch that the United States put in place. Thus, Elizabeth and that whole brood is illegal. Now, the United States put it in place, took down my father, kidnapped me. Joe Kennedy was ambassador. It was a new world order. The Freemasons, Illuminati, the Jews, the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Roosevelt, etc. They helped take down my father and kidnap me, and the ongoing thing that's happened to Great Britain and what's being done to me, which is torture for 75 years, and to my sons Mark and Scott. The arrogance of standing there or sitting there and talking about how bad Russia is, that they're the aggressors and causing the problem. You go back to 1917, 1918, when Tsar Nicholas, who is my relative, just like he is to Elizabeth, Garrett, Major Garrett's his name, the person who was interviewing Obama. There was a letter that was released the other day by the CIA that's to the point, now this is all I've heard, it was on CBS Morning, I believe, that they were responsible for part of the let's put it this way, confusion and all that brought about the overthrow of Tsar Nicholas is really it. 1917. Who do you think killed him with all these murders? Who do you think took out my father and then kidnapped me? The Americans did. Woodrow Wilson, the New World Order, and now you've got them up here accusing Putin and making him the bad guy. It is beyond me if they ever tell the truth about it. I hope I'm alive and I get to see it done, all of it. It's unreal. But then the Rockefellers and Rothschilds control it. The fact that my own uncle helped take out my father, helped kidnap me, and take over as monarch of Great Britain illegally and sign illegal treaties. In other words, he works for the United States, or did, and so does Elizabeth. If you call what they're doing working, they're spending my money, and they've taken that, they've given away everything British and made the British work for the United States. They signed treaties illegal, allowing the United States to put military bases all over Britain, as in the Area 51, remember, that didn't happen, and out in, where was it, Nevada? Now then, everybody knows now that obviously there is a Area 51 out there. What did I say, highway? It's early in the morning, and I've gotten a dose of what I've been telling you about of other videos. Anyway, they've got Area 51 down in Australia now. They've got all kinds of crap all over the world, so the United States used Great Britain for a launching pad. Now then, I want to get to mind control murders. Before I found out about being kidnapped in '83, when I was flown out to Flint in a political campaign, Larry Flint had been shot in 78, March the 6th, while I was doing the book in Cobb County, Georgia. I was living there and had been for a long time. Now, he was brought in, which it was weird, the circumstances, that they got the subpoena, brought him into Lawrenceville, nearby Lawrenceville, Georgia, where the guy was programmed to shoot him and kill his attorney. So I was flown out there in '83 in a campaign, and I had antifreeze put in me April the 1st of '80, so the book was never published. And the FBI had sent me a letter June the 23rd of 79, I'm sorry. I'm sitting here and I'm upset because there's a lot. I mean, well, you do if you've listened to the other tapes. Um, but anyway, with a letter from the U.S. Attorney and FBI, I was down there many times at their office, and ongoing investigation, national security involved. Well, what's involved if they told the truth about me, my kidnapping and everything? There's a lot of people that wouldn't like it. What they've done is they're holding Great Britain hostage, and it started out, and I'm sure it still is, some of my relatives in Sweden, Denmark, and Norway, the monarchs, are related to me. I don't think all of them, they were held hostage too. Now, times change, and I don't know what's going on now. But I know that back then, I don't believe for one moment they wanted the United States to hold them hostage and put their military bases all over Great Britain. So this bit about Obama going after Putin is a joke, especially if you ever tell the truth about this country and its military takeover of the world. Really now, what are they going to do? Go after China next, or what's really going on? Now, I wanted to get back to something this morning. These are mind control murders, and I tried to tell in the first, I've done 2 tapes, I've uploaded one, and I'm living at corporate suites here, and they're all affordable corporate suites, and I've had to, let me phrase that, I've had to, without going further on what's going on, I've had to live in certain places. My whereabouts has been controlled. I wanted to go back to Carl Barton, was a Virginia State Trooper who actually told me when they brought me down to corporate suites there off Starkey Road. Overlook is the address of the affordable suites there in Roanoke. I'm in Roanoke here, too, on Northern Drive. But the Overlook is used in the shootings up. There's a Jewish man owns these corporate suites up in Overland, Kansas. I think 3 were killed. Now then, he had ties back to the man, Glenn Miller, that did the shooting, and they call him a racist. I wonder what you call, they call it a hate crime, what you call when you can kidnap me and torture me and my kids all our lives and do this to the British, if that's not a hate crime of and everything else thrown in, torture and everything. But back to the Glenn Miller. They're telling now he had ties to Hillsville, Virginia, and that's 11 miles from Carl Barton, the Virginia State Trooper, and his wife, who actually took me to corporate suites on Overlook Drive in August of '09, and I rented an efficiency there just like I have here. Now then, it's the name and the fact that Glenn Miller had ties back to Hillsville, 11 miles from Galax. It's almost like confirming, hey, the lady's telling the truth. Who's listening to you? And you had the U.S. Marshals. It was back in '80 that Glenn Miller was there, this man that's now being arrested. So I can't go that much further here. I want to say another thing, though. Carl Barton, if I can get it in here, the retired state trooper, who his wife actually told me this is how we move you using chemicals. And she said, we're Americans, we're above the law. Now, it's almost like this Glenn Miller and the Overlook and where I'm at now, really, corporate suites. And then the Carl Barton, the retired state trooper, saying what he said. And then in Hillsville, just about 2 weeks ago, they had a produce plant that there was 25 of them. I don't know if anybody died, but they were laying on the ground and everything because they had installed the wrong freezer in a air conditioning unit. And if you've listened to my tapes or anything, this is how they run me. And Carl Barton even admitted it, his wife. They use chemicals. I can go somewhere, and if they're not waiting on me, they come in. And I'm allergic to chemicals. I have an immune disorder. And this is how they run me. And I'm just about dead. Now then, I've got shingles from it all. Your immune system goes down. So I hope you listen to it in the other tapes.